All right, so there's the price, $36,400. Now, is $36,400 more than $4,000? Is it more than $5,000? Is it more than $6,000? All right, so it's more. All right, so this is my platinum package. So this is the same exact thing, Dr. Glittenstein, but this time I wanted to give you an option for 5 years parts labor, 5 years service, 10 years manufacturer's parts, 5 years labor, and 5 years service. So now we come twice a year for 5 years to maintain it. So you don't have to worry about it for 5 years. You can write me a check. And that's $31,900. All right. Now, here's the Gold Plus program. And now notice, each one, the only thing that's changing on my first 3 slides is the warranty, right? Now there's no service involved. All right, I still left the air cleaner and the humidifier in, all right, or the pure moisture delivery system, right, and the equipment protection system. Now it's $29,400. All right, now I'm going to change some of what I'm doing. All right, now it's different air conditioning units. All right, instead of 2-stage units, it's just single-stage high efficiency, and the price changes. All right, so I'm going to go all the way down. Here's my silver option. Now, after each slide, I asked the doctor, what should we do? Now, I'm showing you all these slides, but I didn't show him all these slides. Okay? Now, even though I had another bunch of slides to show him and another presentation for just the furnace, the doctor stopped me when I said to him, Doctor, here's the gold options. It's, I'm sorry, it was the one above this. Oh, yes, this one here. When I got to this 10 years parts, 5 years labor, he said, Rick, that's enough. I've seen enough. I'll take this one. I said, you sure, Doc? I got a bunch of other ones to show you. I mean, I haven't even got to just a single furnace yet. He said, no. He says, they're both 25 years old. I'm a busy guy. I don't have time to. My wife's been yelling at me for 3 days, going out heat. I just want to get this thing taken care of. So, let's go the other way with it. Keep on going, just to show you a little bit of what the presentation looked like. So if you look, I went all the way down from the top to the most economy one. All right? So what happened, this is the actual, what I printed out from the day I was there. So what he bought was, I also, in part of my presentation, gave him an option for an on-demand water heater. So what he purchased for me was $35,000. He wrote me a check for $17,525. Now, it's $35,000. How many times more is that than 4 or 5? So when Joe says you can triple your sales, he's lying. You can do 6 to 9 times more than what our competitors are offering, depending on what their price is. All right, so what I just briefly went over for you today, the reason I went over that is how long does it take you to change what you're doing? How long did it take me to triple my sales? 1 day. And that's the power of what the total immersion program and Joe's teaching. All right, now, what did it change in me? I mean, what if I kept on doing what I was always doing? Right? What's the definition of insanity? Right, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So, I would agree with you 100%. Some wouldn't, but I would. But anyway, but see, that's the point I wanted to bring up. All right, so when Joe sends out something that says, Rick Picard will go over you, triple your sales, all right, that's true. It happens to me every day. But it takes a choice. What happened if I would have walked by that tech room when he was doing his training and I kept on walking? Not only did my sales triple, what else tripled? That's right. So I would say to other salesmen or other comfort advisors or HVA specialists, let me show you how to triple your income. All right? Now, as I mentioned, I have a lot of kids. I have 2 in college. Do you think I need the extra income? But do you think that, Joe Casera, I'm going to say this a little off the record. I'm going to tell you something personal about me and Joe. Joe offers to pay me to do consulting with him. He offers to pay me when I fill in for him doing coaching. Isn't that true, Joe? Yeah. All right. What do I say every time?
Put him on retirement account. No.
But I say no. And the reason I say no is Joe's tripled my income. I wouldn't feel right taking anything from him. I'm honored that Joe will let me come up and share what I've learned with other people. So I encourage all of you, if you have the opportunity to attend the Total Immersion Sales Seminar, if you have an opportunity to change your life, let's face it, all of us in this room work very hard. I have a passion for great service, and that's why I respect a lot of people in this room, because I can see the passion they have for great service too. The reason why you're here is because you don't have a passion for great service, right? Now the reason you're here is because you have a passion for great service, and you demonstrate that by being here. All right? And like as I mentioned, yes, a lot of us, hey, listen, money makes the world go round. We have to make money to take care of the people who depend on us. Like Mike said, he's got 65 or 70 people depending on him. They're looking to make a living on him. But also, I can tell you, Mike has a passion, and his pure motive is to provide the best service he possibly can. And that being said, I think the biggest problem we have in our industry is that not enough people know what great service looks like. And that was my problem. See, what Joe showed me was what great service looks like. The reason I was not providing great service isn't because I didn't have a passion for it. So passion's the first thing. The second thing is knowing how to provide great service. All right? Now, once I know how to provide great service, I can't do it any other way. Let's talk about 6 options for a minute. All right? Is it better service for me to pick what I think is good for you? Or is it better service for me to give you the solutions and let you pick? So if someone in your company says, well, I don't want to give 6 options, should that be acceptable to you? All right, I use this analogy all the time. It's like going into a restaurant, and the waiter brings you over a beer and a really nice steak. All right? Well, is that great service? He brought it to you right away. Wait a second, what if you're a vegan or a vegetarian? Or what if you're an alcoholic? Right? That's not what happens. What's the first thing the waiter does when he comes? He gives you a menu, and you peruse the menu and say, this is to my taste, this is to my budget. Now, do you think the waiter would be arrogant if he picked what he thinks you should eat? Now, what if he looked at you and said, you look like a hamburger guy? Right? And then the guy next to you got a steak. What would you say to him? What do I look like? I can only afford a hamburger? Right? So it's obvious to us what bad service looks like outside of the trades. But for some reason, when we're in the trades, we think it's different. So, it's one of the principles, all right? Another analogy I use, you go into a clothing store and you're looking at the shirts. I'm going to get these shirts, and you say to the salesperson, me and Joe, this kind of happened to us yesterday. You go to a salesperson, boy, I don't know which shirt I should pick. I don't know what shirt. All right, well, I'm going to go. I'll leave now. You figure it out. Call me. I'll come ring you up. Is that good service? No, they say, well, wait, where are you going? What's the event? What are you wearing? What color pants are you going? Do you need a tie with that? Right, that's good service. So then a customer says to us, well, I want to think about it. All right, well, I'm going to leave. When you figure it out what you want, I'll come back and I'll sign you up. No. What we've learned is great service is helping our customers think about it. So if you have a passion for great service, you have to follow the system. All right? So, again, I wanted to thank Joe for having me here. That's just an example I wanted to give. Joe did want me to open up some question and answers, Joe?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, Mike?
Rick, through the system, what's your opinion on how it can be coached?
That's a good point. I hear this a lot. I remember I just said the tip of the iceberg. If you look at the little folder here, there's all kinds of little things on this. Your ego is not your amigo, right? Do it now or your competition will. Bring problems and solutions. Be on code. Mind like water. All right? There's a lot to go on with the system. And this is what I encourage a lot of people. This is what I did at first. And when I learned the system, I wanted to do all of it all at once. All right? What happens if you try to swallow an apple whole? You got to choke on it, right? You take a little bite, you chew a little bit, you take another little bite, all right? So what I would do, if I was coaching other people to do this system, I would tell them, listen, these are the principles you want to follow. When you get good at one part of it, then you start perfecting another part. All right? Another thing is you have to make the system your own. So when you look at these different principles, it's like they are. Principles don't change, right, Joe? They stay the same. But you have to be able to make it your own. So that, let's face it, I'm not going to say the same way that Joe would say something or you would say something. So I would encourage them to make it their own. Now, me and Joe have talked about this quite a bit too, about pure motive selling and selfish motive selling, right, Joe? Mm-hmm. And this is, I noticed this quite a bit. If our motives are not pure in our service to the customer, and they notice any kind of selfishness involved, it'll be rejected on its face. That's another pitfall we want to watch out for. And this came up when I was talking to one of my direct competitors in my territory, who was calling me up for some training. He said, Rick, I had a real hard time getting back for the second visit. I said, okay, well, there's a rule. Anytime you're having an occurring problem over and over again, assume it's something you're doing. And the reason I can say that is because I never have a problem getting back for a second visit. So let me hear how you're setting that thing up. Well, Mrs. Smith, where's Mr. Smith? I'm like, oh boy, that's not too tactful. Okay, Mr. Smith's not here. Well, listen, I'm going to come back and talk to the both of you. When's he going to be around? Well, can you just give it to me? Hey, I'm a busy guy. Right? See all the selfishness? Now, I talked about this a little bit when I came over. What are the reasons why I want to meet with the husband and wife?
To get them to both agree on the same solution.
All right.
To get their input and answer questions.
You want to help them.
It's great service, right? Now, I asked him the same question. I said, what are the reasons why you want to get to meet with Mr. and Mrs. Smith? Well, I know if my average ticket, I'll get my closing ratio will go up. I know my average ticket would be higher, right? Right, exactly. So what happens is his motive is focused on the wrong area. Now, I said, my reason for meeting with the husband and wife is because I want to be able to provide world-class service. So if Mrs. Smith has a question, I'm there to answer it. If Mrs. Smith has a question, I'm there to answer it. All right? And if I give them all this information and they need help deciding, I'm here to help. All right? So our motive in what we're doing. So I would make sure that anybody that was coaching, as Mike's question was about this, that I would help make sure they understood, related to service, why do we do these things? What is the pure motive of why we do it? And then make sure we can express that to the customer. Another question?
Rick, I said also don't forget the pure motive is not just for the service guy with the customer or the sales guy with the customer, but also the pure motive to the salesperson or the technician themselves. That your motive has to be pure with them. That it's something in it for them. You're doing this for them, not necessarily for you as a company. The company will benefit too. Like Mike said, if my tech makes $150,000 a year or $200,000 a year, how does the company benefit from a guy who sells $3 million or something like that per year to do that number, right? So it's got to be the pure motive. What's in it for them when you're coaching? I think. Yeah.
When you're presenting the options, are you presenting those options on a PowerPoint, on a laptop? Are you printing them out? And what happens if, and I know this is a big question, but let's suppose that it's in a printed form, let's say it's on the computer, and you go through all these options, the customer says, gosh, Rick, that's great that you gave me all these different options. It's a lot of information for my wife and I. Can you leave that with us, and we're going to talk about that. We'll get back with you.
Okay, let's take that in steps. It's a long question. I do PowerPoint. All right. Now, that works for me. Now, there's some pitfalls when you use electronic. We talked about that earlier. When I do that presentation, that's just my outline. It's not the focus of what I do. It's a tool that I use. All right. Now, so I use PowerPoint. I have a screen. What I do is I template all the jobs. I'll even template them on difficulty. For instance, I'll have a furnace, 60,000 BTUs, low price, medium high, high, very high. Depending on the situation, the difficulty of the job, and whether I have to do it on overtime or a weekend, that type of thing. It's all templated. All right. Now, I can go in there very quickly and I can customize them if I need to. All right. Let me talk a little bit about customization. So if I talk to the customer and there's air quality options I'm going to put in there, I'm going to customize them right on the spot. When I'm done making my presentation, I spin the screen I have a tablet that spins, and I make my presentation.